Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Once again, we're joined with Dr. Hart. Dr. Hart, thank you again for being here.
My great pleasure. Thank you, Doug.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Hart, we keep collecting these questions, and these questions come in from our viewers. And I have one here that says, "Hi, I am a senior citizen. Why should I attend this training?"
Oh, well, you want to be healthier, happier, live longer, be more creative, then this training is for you. In fact, there is a special mission within Biocybernaut for senior citizens. I wrote, won, and directed a large federal grant. It was funded by NIMH, the National Institute of Mental Health, and it was entitled Anxiety and Aging, Intervention with EEG Alpha Feedback. And the target population was women who were from their 60s well up into their 80s. And it was like they had drunk from the fountain of youth. It was absolutely amazing. Many of them had never graduated high school. They got GEDs, they went to college, they graduated. They went on to graduate school. Some of them started businesses in their 80s. And people that I would talk to who knew some of these graduates, and they would say, "Rosie's the only woman I ever saw who gets younger every time I see her." And it turns out that in the normal course of the average life, once hardening of the arteries begins, atherosclerosis can set in as early as a person's 20s, depending on genetics, diet, lifestyle. And once that happens, the frequency of the alpha range is 8 to 13 cycles per second, and most people center around 10 cycles a second. The frequency of the alpha starts to slow as hardening of the arteries sets in. And this is associated with loss of intellectual function, cognitive decline, increasing ill health. And it slows at a rate of 0.8 of a hertz for every decade of life. So if it starts in the 20s, by your mid-40s, you could be at the threshold of losing your alpha. And when alpha drops below 8 cycles per second, people enter senescence or senility and usually die soon thereafter. One of my teachers and later colleague, the famous clinical electroencephalographer, Dr. Charles Levant Yeager, in the mid-1950s, he was so famous in California that the California State Department of Mental Hygiene went to him and requested that he accept a grant from them. Now, as you know, this is not usually how people get grants. The government doesn't come to you and say, "Please accept this grant." The grant was to buy EEG equipment and set it up in all of the state hospitals around California. At the peak, Reagan, as governor, shut them down, but at the peak, there were about 45 of them. And, one Scientific American study showed that 80% of the homeless had mental health issues or mentally ill. And so they were picked up, taken to the state hospitals and cared for, given treatment. And every year, with a team of technicians, Dr. Yeager would drive to each one of these hospitals, depending on the size, maybe spend a couple of days or a week, and his technicians would go out into the wards, bring in the patients, put electrodes on the head, run an EEG. There's not feedback. It's before the days of feedback. And then present Dr. Yeager with big hunks of paper, the written out polygraph records, and he would flip through them. He was so skilled that he could make accurate psychiatric diagnoses just by looking at a 21-channel EEG. And I had lunch with him one day in the mid-'80s. He's been doing this for 30 years and coming up with clinical wisdom that you would never make it into a scientific journal. He said, Jim, if somebody was 103 years old and they had good alpha in their record, I knew that they would be alive when I came back next year. On the other hand, if it was a young person of 27 and their alpha had declined or was gone, I would say a very special goodbye to that person, knowing it was unlikely that they would be alive when I came back next year. So if you're a senior citizen or anyone and you're asking, would alpha training benefit me? Yes. You know that the benefits include a 50% increase in creativity, a boost in IQ of 11.7 points that we've measured is stable at least a year out, as well as reductions of anxiety and sadness, depression. And so good things go up and bad things go down from the alpha. But there's also, very significantly, a reversal of aging in the brain. One of the key markers of aging in the brain is the slowing and the loss of your alpha brainwaves. And this training can bring that back. And once the brain is functioning again better, then it can re-regulate all of your other systems, digestion, hormones, endocrine. And so we had women we had one 82-year-old woman, she graduated from the training, and she insisted that I take her for a ride on my motorcycle. Now, very dainty and ladylike, she rode side saddle, but I have to say that it's the only time I've ever taken an 80-plus-year-old lady around the block on my motorcycle. So, and they were fountains of youth. They were fountains of joy. Their friends, there was one woman, 74 years old, widow, who took a 45-year-old man as her lover, who pronounced her satisfying both spiritually and sexually. So there used to be a TV program, Life Begins at 80. Well, at Biocybernaut, the most senior person I've trained was 101. And I think it was on day 3, he said, in regards to youthful, he said, I felt so old for so long that it's really great to feel young again. Biocybernaut Alpha training.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, Dr. Hart, I know you're busy, so thank you again for taking the time to be with us.
My great pleasure.
Hi, I'm Tony Robbins. Listen, if you are looking to improve your brain, your psyche, your ability, your emotions, your ability to really maximize your performance, and you want to really dig into your brain, my dear friend, Dr. Jim Hart, and his Biocybernaut program is extraordinary. I've been through it myself. My wife Sage has, members of my family have, and we found it to be truly extraordinary. But it is not for the faint at heart. Unless you're dead serious about really taking things to the next level, don't bother. We went through the Alpha program designed to maximize your ability to create alpha waves. And it was challenging and it was incredibly rewarding. And I'd recommend it to anybody serious about improving the quality of their lives or including the quality of their family lives as well. So check out Cybernaut, check out Dr. Jim Hart. And if you do, I think you'll be really, really pleased. And the entire time you are learning to think and how you think these electrodes create sounds. And you learn how to put yourself in the zone of alpha. But it's a bitch. It's horrible. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody that wants easy experiences, but I'd recommend it to anybody that wants to grow immensely. And by the first day, I'm like, who do I got to shoot to get out of this thing? Oh, it's me. I'm the one that did this shit, right? But by the end of the week, all 3 of us were able to go into this state of alpha. And if you're familiar with alpha, the best way I can describe alpha is there's no problem that can't be solved in alpha. Because every problem that we have was created by us.
Thank you for being here and absorbing this information about the science of brainwaves and about the stories of people whose lives have been beneficially altered, improved by doing brainwave training at Biocybernaut. And now I'm reaching out to you to invite you to come and be a part of the Biocybernaut adventure. Biocybernauts are to inner space what astronauts are to outer space. So come and adventure with us. And if you'd like to leave a comment on the videos, you can do that, or there's a link you can click if you'd like to learn more. We welcome you to Biocybernaut.